Hey guys, what's up? Penguin Pat here, and today we're going to talk about 5 friends list mistakes that will cost you thousands of forge points. I know that sounds like it is impossible that it could cost you thousands of forge points, but I promise you that is absolutely the case. So let's get right into it. First of all, keep in mind that when you are friends with somebody, that doesn't necessarily signify that you are particularly friends with that person. You may or may not like the people on your friends list. It has nothing to do with actually being friends. All it is a mechanic to keep you connected to other players. Now, being in the same guild or being in the same neighborhood also grants you most of the same things that you get from being friends with a player. In fact, the only thing that you can do different as a friend than you can as a neighborhood, as somebody in your neighborhood or as somebody in the same guild is visit the tavern. You can still contribute to great buildings and you can still trade goods, which are two of the main things that you do with friends. So with that said, let's talk about the 5 mistakes, and we're going to talk about them kind of in the chronological order that they happen. So the first mistake that players make that will cost them thousands of forge points is adding high age, high rank players too early on. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I've mentioned this before in my other videos, and I'll tell you now. A lot of times what people will do is they will come over and they'll find friends, and then they'll start adding people who are super high ranked, or they'll come over here to the top of the scoreboard and they'll start adding people from this list. And while that sounds great in theory, the problem with that is multifold. First of all, is that you really have to focus on getting your tavern, Friends Tavern, built up. Because when you first start, you really want to be able to start running these extra turn boosts for being able to do Guild Expedition. The sooner you can start completing Guild Expedition, the sooner you can start getting some really good special buildings, which will help you to develop faster. If you start getting Terrace Farms and Sacred Skywatches and all of the loot that comes from doing Guild Expedition, you will have a major advantage. And here you can see that because I focused on earlier age players in this town, for example, I've only been playing for, let's see, where is it? This world for not even 2 full months, and I have completed GE 3 times already, right? So that is because I have not added anyone that is high age at all. I have focused on players that are roughly my same age, and that has allowed me to build up my tavern quickly, and I'm able to start doing GE and build my city quickly. The second thing with why this is important is that, as you know, when you motivate or polish another player's town, you have the potential of getting a blueprint from whatever age the building is that you are motivating or polishing. And the reason why this is important is because when you first start, you really want to concentrate on getting your Statue of Zeus and your Lighthouse of Alexandria up and going as quickly as possible. Unless you have somebody on that world who's going to be giving you goods for some advanced age buildings, like say Hamaji Castle or something like that for supplies. If you don't have that type of person to kind of help drag you along, then getting that lighthouse early on and getting that Zeus early on are both going to be really important. And if you have players that are primarily lower age, that means that the blueprints that you're going to be getting are going to be primarily lower age. Even if you're looking at early middle age, high middle age, late middle age, you'll be getting blueprints for your Castle Domont and your Cathedral of Adrian, your COA, Cathedral of Aachen, I don't know how you say it, and then obviously the Zeus, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. Those are all buildings that you really need the blueprints for early on. And if you have players that are all the way up into, say, Space Age Venus or whatever, you'll be getting all kinds of crazy blueprints for buildings that you don't want or need at this stage of the game. That's why it's really important to keep lower age players on your friends list. The other and last thing is that, especially now because of Battlegrounds, one of the things that has happened that wasn't the case prior to Battlegrounds is that there is this extraordinary goods cost for building special buildings, right? I don't have anything possessed in this world. So what has happened is the market for early age goods has gotten absolutely wrecked, whereas in the past, high age players stockpiled tons and tons of early age goods from selling goods to other players. Now their goods supplies have been depleted in early ages because they have had to donate goods to build siege camps and things like that and battlegrounds. And that means that they don't have the early age goods to trade as much, and they're not looking to make those trades anyway. Whereas if you are in an earlier age, you are a lot more inclined to have players who can help you with those trades. Recently, people were saying one of the problems with Iron Age is that it's hard to get the early age goods. But as you can see here, I'm having no problem getting the trades that I need taken care of because I have people who are my age that are friends with me. So they are making the goods that I need. They're looking for the goods that I need, and they're trading the goods that I need. Again, all that comes back to being able to complete guild expedition more quickly. And also, besides that, even just getting the great buildings that you're looking for, so many reasons why it is not optimal to add high age, high rank players early on. The number 2 mistake that I see made is having a bunch of your guildmates on your friends list. Now, this is something that has actually changed significantly since the new 1.209 patch came out. Now, when 1.209 came out, there was a significant change in the way that the friends list was managed. Prior to this change, you could only invite up to 80 friends, and then after that, you could go up to another total of 140, but you could not send friend requests. The additional 60 friends that you added had to be friend requests that were sent to you. And for that reason, there was a little bit of reason that you could potentially want to keep your guildmates on your friends list, because in the event that you left the guild for a short period of time or they left the guild for a short period of time, you might want to still be able to be connected to them. Now there is literally no reason to keep them on your list, because if they leave, you can just make room for them and send them an invite, right? And you get all of the same benefits of being in the guild and being friends, and they overlap. So you are literally wasting a friend space by having your guildmates on your friends list. There is literally no reason to do that. And I realize that seems petty, and it seems hard to imagine how that could end up costing you thousands of forge points. But the reality is that every friend spot could potentially be worth tons of forge points to you. You don't know who that person is that you're going to add that is going to be worth tons of forge points. And if your friends list is totally full of players that are in your guild, then you are wasting space, throwing away free motivation, throwing away free polish, throwing away investment opportunities for great buildings and for trading and so on. So the next mistake that I see people making is keeping friends for too long. Now, I realize this sounds a little bit disposable, but that is just the honest truth. There is a certain point where you are going to outgrow your friends. So it is important to continually review your friends list and figure out which of these people you want to continue to keep on your list and which of these people you have outgrown. And there are several reasons for this. So as y'all saw, this world that we're looking at right now is about 2 months old. And because of tremendous success during this event, this world is really moving along quickly. For that reason, it's starting to become time for me to shift over the type of friends that I have, because right now my tavern is up to almost 12 chairs. And once you get to about 12 chairs, at that point you are at a steady state where you can consistently run the extra turn boost without having to go crazy. You can sustainably run that extra turn boost to complete expedition and still grow your tavern. Okay? At that point, it's time to start transitioning to adding more players that are a little bit higher level. Not a lot, but the things that you are looking for at this point is you're looking for people who can help you with advanced age goods for buying. For example, if you are trying to get an arc in an early age, you will need to find somebody who can sell you those goods. A good example of this is my R world, where here you can see I have an arc that I was able to purchase. Now, obviously, if all of your friends are early age, they are extremely unlikely to have the goods to build an arc or to build whatever advanced age great building you're looking for. And if they are in an early age and they're able to sell you those goods, they are probably making a profit on you because they had to buy those goods from someone in the first place. And you would be better to go straight to the source instead of buying from a middleman. If you're not sure how to find a seller of advanced age goods as an early age player, I have a video on that. So you can just check my channel for how to buy advanced age goods as an early player or something like that. That is going to be important. The second thing that you're going to be looking for is a place to get blueprints, because especially for things like Ark, where you're going to need 70 sets of blueprints, you are going to need to find people who are going to be helpful for you with that. Now, one of the ways to do that is to get involved in a cross-guild list. So for example, we have this 1.91 list, right? Or a 1.9 list or a 1.85 list, where you can pick up 4th and 5th places on those spots to start building up the blueprints that you need so that you can keep moving along. And in general, early age players are not going to be on those lists. So you will want to allocate a lot of your friends list to players who are leveling their buildings. So one of the other things that you will be looking for is players that are going to be good blueprint sources. Obviously, the cross-guild threads or even your internal guild threads can be a good place to get blueprints. But as you can see here, there are going to be players who have their arcs in the sweet spot. That would be an ideal type of player for you to add on your friends list so that you can pick up those 5th place, 4th place, maybe even 3rd place slots to start building up a huge supply of blueprints that you're going to need to get your arc leveled and to get other great buildings leveled. The other thing that you will also want to be adding for is piggybacked on top of this, which is people who can invest in your great buildings and help you to get 1.9 or 1.85 or whatever that percentage is for leveling your great buildings. And obviously those early age players that you added to get your tavern built up are not going to be the players who are going to be contributing to your arc and helping you to level them or whatever great building it is. So at that point, you need to be shifting your friends list to be more advanced players that are able to help you to level your great buildings as well. So those are the 3 reasons why keeping friends too long can start to be a problem. Plus, generally speaking, a lot of those early age players will end up dying out. Just statistically speaking, the early age people are a lot more likely to quit a lot more frequently. So it'll just be time to turn over your list. All right. So the next thing that is a huge and probably the most costly mistake is accepting friends without doing your due diligence. And the reason why is because there are people who are total dirtbags and have no place on your friends list that will third snipe you. And here you can see an example of 2 of the biggest D-bags on our entire server who have added this person as a friend, and this person obviously has not taken the time to double check who these people are and really doesn't seem to care that he's being third sniped. But if you were the one getting third sniped, this can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of forge points over the course of your experience in the game. And just to kind of show you an example of the third sniping, I also did a video on dirty tricks. And if you look here, this is a cost chart for leveling a great building. And based on some of the weird numbers, the way that the net cost works, basically meaning like how much the great building owner has to spend in order to level the building, is the cost goes up significantly until level 10, and then it drops down until around level 45, 46, and then it cranks back up. And if you are getting a standard multiplier like 1.9, you have this really nice sharp up, and then it goes way down and it gets really cheap through the sweet spot, and then it comes back up. Now, what happens is that there are people who will snipe you, which is something that I actually promote. I promote sniping. I don't promote third sniping. And what that will do is that will make it so that the sniper ends up getting a larger percent of the rewards as a profit to them, and that means less of that reward goes back to your great building. And as you can see here, this red line, that is a 1 sniper person. That increases the cost to you for leveling a pretty good amount, but it could be a lot worse. Now, this net cost after 2 or 3 snipers, this is when you are getting third sniped or team sniped or aggressor sniped or whatever you want to call it. And here you see these lines here. This is what it would cost. So basically you're going from a cost here of about 100 on this level up to a cost of, we'll call it like 450, right? So, I mean, heck, you could even say 125 to 475, whatever. At this point, it's costing 3 times the amount per level, right? 3 times the amount per level to level that great building. So this poor guy over here, who has been third sniped level after level after level by these jerks, has ended up losing out on tons and tons and tons of forge points. It has genuinely cost him at least 10,000 forge points, probably more, because he didn't do his due diligence and he didn't particularly care. Now, with that said, this player also would be an ideal player for you to add as a friend, but don't third snipe him. In fact, what I would recommend doing is to become friends with them and offer to put him onto a cross guild thread where he brings his great buildings to you and you can take them at 1.85 or 1.9 and start making a profit off of that. That way you're not having to spend a ton of time hunting for snipes and profit, and he's getting a benefit too. You're basically trading a smaller reward for saving time, and that is an efficiency thing that is obviously great. Plus there's a faster turnover. If you're giving him more forge points, it means he can level his building faster, and if that means that he levels his building 3 or 4 times as fast at the end of the day, it can be almost as profitable for you, but you end up with a happier friend. So that is number 4, accepting friends without doing due diligence, especially when you're leveling your great buildings through the sweet spot, which is roughly level 30 through level 70, depending on the building, as a general statement. The other danger of adding players without doing due diligence is that you can also add just a bunch of crappy players. Like, it is not unusual, especially if you are at the top of your neighborhood or something like that, to be getting friend requests from just random players. And a lot of times they're just players that end up being duds. They're not active. Their city is not very good. They are not proactively leveling their great buildings, and they don't really offer you any value from a trade standpoint, from a contribution standpoint, from a snipe standpoint. They don't give you anything. And if they're not helping you, then they are wasting space, and you could have a better friend on your list. Not as big of a cost risk, and yet it's definitely not somebody that you want. And if you could add a different player that gave you opportunities for you to contribute to their buildings and make forge points here and there or whatever it might be, then you would be better off. And finally, the 5th item is not adjusting your friends list based on where you are in the game. And that kind of is a summary of the other points put together. So what I mean by that, and what I've already kind of shown you, is that where you are in the game changes what you need. This town, which is only 2 months old, needed people to help get the tavern built up. Now that the tavern is built up enough that I can do GE on a regular basis, it's time to start switching over to players that can get me blueprints. And then once I have blueprints and I can start leveling my arc, that once I get an arc, then I'll want to start being in a position, like here over in the other city, I'll want to start being in a position where I have friends who can help take spots on my arc or places to get more blueprints from that, and so on. And then once you have leveled your arc and you start sniping for profits because your arc is a high enough level that you can be profitable sniping, then you'll want to start looking for snipe targets who you can make a profit on. And you don't want to target people who are already on 1.9 threads or things like that, because you don't want to be a jerk. You want to target people who are like our buddy over here who is getting sniped, who would appreciate if you took the snipe as this lower line here, right? This person would be much happier paying this cost than this cost, right? So you're doing them a favor by going here and not letting them get hit by this extra cost here. Does that make sense? That's who we're looking for. We're not looking for somebody who's already down here getting this really cheap cost because their guild or their friends are giving them 1.9 or 1.85 or whatever it is. We want the people who already are not getting a good contribution to their great building, so that way you're actually helping them, not hurting them. Then once your buildings are all leveled up and you start to kind of hit that end game, then you're kind of looking for different things in your friends. You might be looking for people to sell goods to. You might be looking for more people to snipe. You might be looking for people who can trade for the goods that you need for battlegrounds. You have to figure out what you need at your stage of the game and adjust your friends list accordingly, and constantly be checking your log about whether or not your friends are giving you what you want. Regularly look through and see, are these people who are aiding? Are they taverning? Are they leveling great buildings? Am I being able to contribute to these people's great buildings? Because if you're not doing those things and they are just giving you motivation and maybe a tavern, well, you can get a motivation and a tavern from anyone. It's not worth keeping that person on board. You want people who are going to be active with great buildings and trading and investing and buying and so on. All right, guys. Hopefully this gave you an idea of how your friends list is a powerful tool that very likely is being seriously underutilized and seriously misused. And if you found this video to be helpful, please like, share, subscribe, and visit us on Discord. I'll catch you with the next video.